Excellency, Ambassador of Pakistan, Mr. Shahid Javid Barki, Mr. Yasin, Professor Tantayon, and Mr. Thakur. Pleasure to come over here and be talking to such an auspicious audience of Pakistanis and Indians and people from Singapore. I'd like to start with a little bit of a background on myself so that it puts in context what I actually am about to say about Pakistan. I did my engineering as an undergraduate and finished my master's in management from MIT in the States in 1992. And decided to come back to Pakistan because at that time we'd been studying about Asian tigers, and Pakistan, it was hoped that Pakistan would also emerge into an Asian tiger, and I was excited about the fact that we could go back to our own country, and this is really the first time that I was coming back to Pakistan because I'd grown abroad most of my life. I came back and founded a company which you're seeing the presentation of, PMA Capital, and we've seen Pakistan go through ups and downs, and you know, I'd like to just come straight to the present, where I'm encouraged about what I see in Pakistan, and I'm seeing a upturn in what we saw from the days of floods in 2010. And I see a positive direction for the country, and I think what Mr. Shahid Javid Barki has also commented on, there are ways in which we can improve and accelerate economic growth in Pakistan. What I'm really here to tell you about is a little bit about my own belief in investing in the country. And I think if we can garnish something from that, I'll be happy to kind of, you know, also discuss outside of this conference. I've just recently bought my company back from private equity investors that had invested in our company as of 2004. So in a sense, as an entrepreneur, I have tried to put my money where my mouth is, and I hope that it's going to give a positive dividend for myself and for our shareholders. Having said that, I'm noticing for the first time in Pakistan, before I go into the presentation, for the first time I'm noticing that people are actually, and when I say people, Pakistanis are investing in Pakistan in a manner that I had not seen before. I think recently there have been examples where, and I think Shahzada Daud is going to talk about his conglomerate. They have just recently acquired HUBCO, which is a 1200 megawatt thermal power plant in Pakistan, and made a significant investment in the economic growth of the country. Just recently, there have been a lot of bank acquisitions by Pakistani banks buying out foreign banks. In addition, you've recently had a private sale of ICI. ICI had demerged itself, or rather ExxonMobil, between its paints division and its business in soda ash and chemicals. And that has also been acquired by a Pakistani firm by the name of Lucky Cement. And that's a significant investment and a vote of confidence in the industry in Pakistan, despite some of the negative news that we constantly hear about. So entrepreneurs are investing their money in the country. And quite honestly, the encouraging thing that one sees over here is that Pakistanis are doing that, and I'm hopeful that once that wave starts, foreign investment will also follow. What I've put together over here is a brief snapshot of investment opportunities, and we've selected 4 sectors. They are not all the sectors, but they are significant sectors in the economy in Pakistan, particularly the energy sector. They are the energy sector, agricultural and food sector, the mining sector, and the real estate sector. I think over the years, and what we are seeing is there is a shift taking place, particularly with the global population. 61% of the world population is in Asia. And we are seeing an economic shift. I think if one looks at what happened recently in the Olympics, sports is just one indicator of economic strength, I think, and you will see that 33% of the gold medals were won by Asia. It's up 16% since 1952, or 18% since 1952. There is a shift, and Goldman Sachs has mentioned Pakistan as one of the 11 countries to watch. And I think that you'll see that Pakistan will hopefully become one of the major economic hubs as we move along, similar to the BRICS countries. I think moving towards the overall opportunities, if we touch upon the energy sector to begin with, currently supply outstrips demand by about 5,000 megawatts per hour. And we're looking at demand by a population which is probably now about 60% below 25 years of age. And their demands and their wants are starting to convert into needs. This is encouraging, and I think that Pakistan government is also now promoting the 3 types of power generation, one primarily being coal, hydel, or other, this coal power, wind power, and hydel power. The overall policy pertaining to power is very conducive, in which you're allowed to take 80 to 20 equity stakes, and all of your profits can be dividended out back to the original sponsors. The policy framework is encouraging, it's tried and tested, the IPP policy is fairly well established. I think just to tell you a little bit about HUBCO, for example, HUBCO's year-on-year profitability has gone up by 51%, profit after tax. So these are encouraging numbers, and this is, I'll tell you about industry, despite the fact that your power tariffs have gone up by 35%, your year-on-year earnings by companies in Pakistan have gone up by 25 to 27%. So that's the kind of return people are looking at who have invested in Pakistan. If you look at wind power as an example, and I think, I thought it might be useful to just draw some comparisons. If you look at the corridor and the wind corridor in Pakistan, Pakistan is designated as an excellent corridor for wind energy. Its speeds are 7.7 meters per second. If you look at some of the other countries which have similar wind speeds, and look at what they are actually generating from wind, that just goes to show you the potential that exists in wind power, for example. If you look at China, it's generating 12,000 megawatts from much lower wind speeds. Similarly, if you look at Denmark, it's generating 3,100 megawatts. Now, that shows you the potential that we have in Pakistan. Right now, we're not generating more than probably about 50 megawatts, and we've just started putting up wind power plants in Sindh. So there's a huge potential there. There's a potential just in Sindh of about 40,000 megawatts. And Pakistan, because of the ease of doing business in Pakistan, Pakistan is a country which lends itself comfortably to setting up these plants in Pakistan and supplying to the region, which is energy hungry. All of the investments that one makes in Pakistan are US dollar linked. So all of your investment all of the costs are passed through. And it's a fairly refined IPP policy, and you can basically remit all your profits back in US dollars. If you look at coal, there's a similar story. Again, Pakistan, enjoys, if you look at coal, for example, the proven reserves are 2 billion tons, and we still haven't utilized them. We have not developed coal power. Coal power in other countries has a very high mix. In the case of China, for example, there's the energy mix, the power mix is 81%. In the case of India, it's about 68%. So there is abundant coal reserves, and the government has guaranteed a 17% return, which is fixed, and it's attractive. If we look at solar energy, and I apologize, I think in the beginning of the slide there was a reference to hydel, but what it should have been is solar. We are blessed with good sunshine in Pakistan, and again, if you look at the solar indices, the irradiation Pakistan ranks as one of the top in terms of irrigation. But despite that, we have not harnessed this solar energy and converted it into power. And with the costs of solar energy coming down, I believe that this is an area again which can be a good place for investment in Pakistan, which is energy hungry and for the region. Again, there's widespread availability of land, and one can develop solar energy with the assistance of the government and the framework of the IPP, Independent Power Policy. Now touching upon another area, which is your agriculture and food business and sector in Pakistan. Pakistani firms have taken advantage of the fact that consumerism is booming, and people like Engro, which is traditionally being a fertilizer, and company has gone into value addition. And just to give you an example of how easy it has been to penetrate the market, I'll just mention, Pakistan is ranked 17th worldwide in terms of farm output. And our farm yields, as Mr. Javed Barki also mentioned, are far below the international standards. There is a tremendous gap in the yields, and there's a huge potential in being able to use drip irrigation and modern agricultural technology to try to develop yields which can again serve as the food basket. And our land is very fertile. For example, if you look at our ability to produce milk, we are producing milk of about 1.29 tons per animal, which is 86% below what they're able to do in the US. In addition to this, I think, if you look at what's happening in Pakistan, recently the Middle East has been going out and acquiring tracts of land to try to make sure that they're able to ensure food security for the Middle East. Now, there is tremendous potential over there, both for vertical integration as well as horizontal integration. And again, your investments are protected. Any money that you bring into the country, you can repatriate your profits in US dollars back out to the original source. Pakistan's seen a spurt in consumerism. Lever Brothers, for example, is a company that's now been there for over 50 years. And I was talking to the chief executive of Lever Brothers. They've commented that they've made more profit in the last 5 years than they've made in the last 60 years in Pakistan. There has been a tremendous spurt of growth. And what you see is limitless potential of investment in this sector, particularly in branding. And just to show you how how easy it has been to enter this market, Engro recently entered into this as Engro Foods, and was able to capture. They entered in 2007 and was able to capture 50% of the market, the UHT milk market, in a matter of 5 years by coming out with branded products. And I think the overall profitability of companies in this sector has been between 26 to 28% returns. So, just to give you an idea, for example, the milk and the meat and the poultry business, the branded business only represents 8% of the overall volume. This just tells you a little bit of what I've said earlier. The Pakistan meat industry, for example, the branded meat industry is only 5% of the total volume of the unbranded meat market. So there's tremendous potential for people to come in, establish their brands, and charge value for what they deliver. In addition to this, there are opportunities to set up in Pakistan and export from Pakistan. And I think with a burgeoning kind of middle class in Pakistan, we hope that with consumerism, with branding, one will be able to achieve the kind of returns that typically you wouldn't within the unbranded market. I think if we look at the Pakistan population, there's a lot of opportunity to try to amalgamate a fragmented industry. And that applies across the board in all of the food products. We've just given you an example of what's available in the milk product side. And there's a lot of small companies which one can go in, acquire, amalgamate, and bring economies of scale. I'll just touch upon a little bit about mining. I think Ghana, for example, has 3.7% of the overall gold reserves in the world, or the gold traded. But this is probably about half the size of Reko, where we've got copper, gold, we've got other minerals and metals which are rare metals. And recently the Barrick Gold has been going and doing, I mean, some of the statistics that we've got over here is available from Barrick Gold, and this is all along the Tetian Belt. So this is right now at a very nascent stage, and it's all starting to get developed. It's going to take a little bit of time, but there's another opportunity, as I said, in this area. Real estate is the last area that I'm going to touch, before which I conclude. But primarily, there is a diaspora taking place into urban cities. And there is a tremendous potential. Right now, there is no debt market for mortgages. And I think there is that potential of developing real estate. I'll just give you an example from my own experience. In the 1970s, there was the tallest building in Pakistan was the Habib Bank Tower. And subsequent to that, after 30 years, they made the MCB Tower, which then became the largest building in Pakistan. In the last 2 to 3 years, that record has been broken about 2 or 3 times, with developments taking place across the country. And not just, the developments taking place not just in terms of height, but also in terms of the technology being used to develop buildings and construct buildings. With that, I'd just like to conclude, one of the issues that constantly plagues Pakistan is this issue of corruption. And as an entrepreneur, I'd just like to tell you, I've been doing business in Pakistan for 20 years now. And we've done some of the most significant transactions emanating out of Pakistan at BMA Capital. And I've never had to confront the issue of having to pay anybody anything. Wherever we've competed, we've tried to compete in a manner where if there is a flaw in the process, we've brought it to the knowledge of people within government, and there are good people within government, and they've made all endeavors to make sure that proper procedures are followed and awards are made. Now with an active judiciary in Pakistan, it's become even more difficult to try to bow down to corruption. And Transparency International is another area which kind of assists us whenever we do have problems. So I'm quite encouraged, and I welcome all of you to Pakistan. I have one other representative, Mr. Fawaz Baliani. If you could just stand up. He's also joined me from our company. He's the Chief Commercial Officer. I just wanted to identify him, so if anybody wants to meet and discuss things later on, I'm more than happy to assist you. Thank you very much.